President Donald Trump shocked the gun rights world when he urged authorities in the wake of the recent school massacre in Florida to take the guns first, go through due process second, and the White House quickly hastened to explain away the off-the-cuff remarks. In the wake of the Parkland shooting, before which family, peers and teachers repeatedly warned authorities that the alleged killer Nicolas Cruz seemed to be gearing up for violence, the idea that law enforcement should be able to keep firearms out of the hands of violent or mentally unstable people has widespread appeal. But to Second Amendment advocates, it calls up images of federal stormtroopers barging into private homes to seize Americans' guns. In fact, some states do have laws that allow disarming legal gun owners who pose a risk to themselves or others. But they bear more resemblance to long-established speedy legal proceedings like search warrants or emergency domestic violence restraining orders. While gun violence restraining orders can indeed be issued before a person believed to pose a risk can appear in court, the process only proceeds with the approval of a judge, and petitioners must present concrete evidence of imminent danger before any guns get seized. In individual cases, these orders could make all the difference, said Garen Wintemute, a University of California, Davis professor who is currently evaluating the effectiveness of his state's program. The weapon matters. If there's a high-risk situation, taking firearms out of the equation can change the outcome. Only 5 states, Connecticut, Indiana, California, Oregon and Washington, currently have laws allowing civil gun seizure orders. But interest in GVROs, sometimes known as extreme risk protection orders, or more generically as red flag laws, has spiked since the Parkland shooting. According to the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, legislators in 26 states have introduced or will soon introduce red flag laws, including Maryland and New York, where the state assembly recently passed such a law. In Rhode Island, the state's Democratic governor took the unprecedented step of enacting gun violence restraining orders by executive order. The National Rifle Association has vehemently opposed policies like gun violence restraining orders. In bulletins to members, the gun group has urged them to contact state elected officials and vote against these laws because they provide a mechanism for an individual to lose the right to keep and bear arms with no due process of law. Despite the gun group's stance, support is also flowering in corners of the political world normally opposed to new firearms restrictions. A version of a GVRO is part of the package of gun bills just passed by both chambers of Florida's legislature, and will become law as soon as Governor Rick Scott signs the bill. The idea has the backing of the state's junior senator, Marco Rubio, who went great lengths to earn his A rating from the National Rifle Association. Rick Snyder, the Republican governor of Michigan, is open to a red flag program in his state. National Review writer David French is calling GVROs a gun violence intervention that conservatives can get behind. The Federal Gun Violence Restraining Order Act, which would provide grants to states that create GVRO programs, picked up 2 Republican co-sponsors, Representative Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania and Representative Eleanor Ros-Lehtinen of Florida. The country has been deeply shaken by the fact that so many warning signs failed to stop a young man from killing 17 students and teachers in Parkland, Florida. But in many states, including Florida, the tools available to law enforcement are very limited even when they are aware of red flags, said Representative Don Baer, one of the co-sponsors of the House bill. The Gun Violence Restraining Order Act could go a long way towards solving this problem. Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, along with Democrat Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, also introduced a similar bipartisan red flag bill in the Senate on March 8. At a press conference introducing the legislation, Graham, an AR-15 owner himself, said the bill shouldn't scare lawful gun owners mindful of their Second Amendment rights. It would apply only to those who do things like torture animals or threaten family members. But passing additional GVROs laws would be just a first step. While research on the laws is sparse, available data shows that local police departments have been slow to employ the orders, possibly due to a simple shortage of awareness. In late February, Indiana's Republican Attorney General Curtis Hill Jr. sent out a press release reminding police and prosecutors that the state's law exists. He said in an NPR interview, "It's not a law that is widely known or utilized. In other cases, courts have rearmed volatile gun owners after law enforcement department has failed to complete all the required